Hello, and welcome to the Book Marketing Simplified podcast. I'm Jenn Hanson-dePaula.
And I'm Marcus-dePaula. And we are still talking about Reels this week.
Mm-hmm.
Last week, we gave you some ideas on how to get started, doing a little research, start to play around a little bit, getting some ideas flowing. And we figured now, Jen, you can share what authors can do next to start making some Reels for their feed.
Yeah, the response that we got to that episode was very interesting because there were so many authors that responded saying, I don't know what to talk about. I don't know what I should do in my Reels. And everyone has all these really fancy transitions and all that stuff. We can get so caught up in the technicalities of everything that goes into Reels. And yes, there are technical things that you need to do. You need to type in words, have them fade away, using stickers and all that stuff. But what we really need to focus on, and what's the most important thing to focus on, is the content. We get so wrapped up in how we're going to present it. The presentation is just the icing on the cake. But what people really want is the content.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to be talking about? Because there are essentially two different types of Reels. There are those that are like educational and very brand driven for, like with your business or with your book or, writing and all that stuff. But then there are those viral videos that are more entertainment, like the funny dancing, and they really don't have a purpose. They're just there to entertain.
Or kids hitting other kids in the head with balls.
Exactly. That's exactly it. And so as authors, we do want to have kind of a mixture of those. We do want to have some fun ones. If you just want to include some videos of your pets or your kids or, something funny that happens in your house, that's totally fine. But you need to have a purpose behind your content. It's focusing more on what you say rather than how it's presented.
I definitely can get caught up in the mechanics of how I'm going to make
Yes,
things.
you can.
I end up wasting a lot of time playing with stickers and the text layout.
Yes,
That's
yes.
not as important as what's actually being said.
No, that's right. And so the first thing is focusing on the content. What do you want to say?
So figuring out what you want to say, obviously, like we always say, depends on your ideal reader, which is the first part of your content marketing strategy. So once we know what we're saying and who we're saying it to, what do we do with it?
We're going to have a link in the show notes that refers back to a blog post that I wrote about content buckets. And this is one of the best things that you can do within your overall strategy for Reels, is thinking about what are 3 to 5 content buckets or 3 to 5 ideas that I want to drive home. So let's say one of your content buckets is showing video of your dogs. It's just something fun. The second one is talking about your writing process. The third might be more promotional about your books or about what you're reading. It's coming up with different categories and what we call content buckets, figuring out what you want to talk about and what you need to talk about in order to share more about your writing and your books and just about your life in general.
This is a part of your larger coaching process that you offer. And these content buckets are what help you stay on track with what you're saying to your ideal reader, right?
Absolutely. And it's something that helps you not be so overwhelmed with options, because I think that that's something that really stalls authors, because there are so many different things that they can talk about that you just get overwhelmed and then you just shut down. So having certain pieces of content that I'm going to share these 3 or 4 things all the time will keep you on target with what you want to drive home within your marketing, but also with helping people get to know you and you getting to know them as well.
And you know that they will get a pretty good response usually because you have done your homework with your ideal reader. And each of these content buckets, is something that your ideal reader is interested in.
Yes.
So, if you stay within those categories, that it's going to resonate with them. And so you don't have to worry about whether or not it's going to work or not.
Absolutely. Because you're focused on your ideal reader, and everything comes back to that.
So now that we know what we want to say in our reels and we've made our lists of the topics that fit within each of the content bucket categories, what do we do next?
Well, this is the fun part. It's when you can start going through reels to see what might spark some creativity. That's going to be how you're going to present your content. So what I like to do is to start scrolling through people's reels and see what music they're using, what sounds they're using, and see how I might be able to put my unique spin on that with the content that I want to share. It's really about getting some inspiration from other people, other industries, other genres, whatever, and seeing how you can apply that to your reels.
And remember that since we are keeping in mind our ideal reader with everything we're doing, that can help you make a decision on which music you choose too.
Absolutely. There's an account called The Sun Also Reads, and she is always sharing what books she's reading, and she loves that cozy, kind of dark look to her images and her videos. And she uses classical music or just some very soft jazz to kind of emphasize the feeling that she's giving with her visuals and with her pictures or whatever she's sharing. And so the music or the sounds really plays a part in that.
And the other option is to, what is it called, a remix? When
Yes.
you take someone else's audio and you mimic or you do some kind of visual that goes along with somebody else's audio that's kind of gone viral.
Yeah, there are so many things that you can do. And again, start simple, get fancy later. I think that if you jump into trying to do all sorts of crazy transitions and try to do something that someone who's been doing reels for ever since they came out, or they've been doing it on TikTok, they are much more seasoned with this. Start simple.
It's a skill.
It is.
And it just like any skill, it takes practice.
It does.
So don't get frustrated early on. Just keep practicing, just like we tell our son.
Yes.
But if you look at the reel that we did together a couple weeks ago, you can see that we did not nail the mouthing.
No.
It can be a little tricky, so it definitely takes lots of practice to get it really seamless.
It really does. And if you don't get it right the first time, don't give up on it.
Yeah.
Keep practicing. You start to get the hang of it, and it ends up being a lot of fun. Reels are a fantastic way for you to expand your audience and to get in front of people who might not have seen you otherwise. Reels are still relatively new. They were introduced back in August of 2020. It's not as overly populated as other features that are on Instagram. So you have a better chance of being seen by more people. So you haven't missed the train of Reels. Jump on it and give it a try.
Just be careful because they're kind of addictive once you get going with them. All right, so what's the make it happen moment for making reels?
Today's make it happen moment is to really identify just one or two content buckets. If you have not done this yet, I say try not to do more than 5, just because then it just gets to be a little too much.
Yeah.
But if this is something new to you, think of 1 or 2 things that you would feel comfortable sharing. The other day, a follower of mine said, I don't even know where to start. And I know that she shares a lot of pictures of her dogs and her animals. I said, why don't you employ your animals and just put them to work? And she said, that's a great idea. And so start simple. Just start thinking about the content buckets and then go from there.
And make sure to tag us in your reels so that we can make sure we see them.
I've been getting tagged by so many authors that are finally saying, I finally tried it and I think I can do this. They're so surprised by the amazing reach that they get, all the views that they get. It's really amazing.
That's a lot of fun too, not just the reel itself, but the response you get from
Absolutely.
people. All right, so keep us posted. Let us know what's working and let us know what questions come up as you start playing with reels.
And we'll look forward to seeing you next time.